How's it going, everybody? This is S3Tide, and this is going to be my first video. I was actually supposed to have my first video up a few days ago. It was going to be an analysis of Wisconsin and UNLV, but it was 17 minutes in length, and I went to go upload it, and then YouTube said I couldn't upload a video. Once it was done uploading, it said I couldn't upload a video longer than 15 minutes. So I tried to edit out some parts, and I was really busy and never really got to that, but I was going to do it, and then realized I talked about John Clay in the video, and you know John Clay's graduated, and so that would have made me look like a retard. But this is going to be my first video. Week 1 predictions, not counting the Thursday games, starting today with the Friday games. I'm not going to do every single game, but I have to do this really quick because I got to leave in just about an hour to go to a football game. How ironic. But all my videos aren't just going to be week predictions. Hopefully I'll get into more analysis of games, but I got to make this video really quick. So I'm basically just going to stick with the scores and just leave it at that. The first game we had tonight is TCU at Baylor, and the funny thing is, this first game, I think, is going to be an upset. Everybody's expecting TCU to win at Baylor. Robert Griffin's one of the... Honestly, I think he's one of the better... I would not be surprised if he was in the Heisman contention at the end of the year. A really dynamic player, does not get enough credit. He's one of the best players in the country, hands down. Reminds me of a right-handed Michael Vick. And I think he's going to make enough plays to beat the TCU defense, which is always great. They always reload. Gary Patterson always has that great defense. But I do believe at Baylor in Waco, Texas, Baylor wins 21-17. That was the only game for Friday that I'm doing. Moving on to Saturday, the first game I'm doing is Akron at Ohio State. Ohio State, all the suspended players, all the controversy, new quarterback. I'm not sure who they said it was going to be. Joe Bowersman, I believe they said. Terrell Pryor's gone in NFL. I think they're going to struggle a little bit the first game like they did last year against, wait, never mind, that was Florida. It was a few years ago. I think they played Arkansas State or somebody like that, and they kind of struggled, but I wouldn't expect, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened again, but I do believe Ohio State does pull out the victory. They're going to struggle a little bit offensively and defensively, but I believe they beat Akron 24-10 because they are Ohio State, and they're just that much better. Second game I'm doing is Utah State at Auburn. Auburn loses a bunch of players. Cam Newton, Nick Fairley, 8 million players on defense and offense. Got to reload on the offensive line. I do not like Auburn at all, and I honestly believe that they will not win more than 6 games this year. I don't think they're going to be that great. I honestly think they're going to lose next week against Mississippi State, but, you know, that's just me. I still believe Auburn wins 31-13. Utah State, they're going to be a little bit tested the first game, Auburn is, but they're Auburn. They're going to win 31-13. Next game is going to be an interesting game. Northwestern at Boston College. Both teams basically evenly matched, but where they aren't evenly matched is at the quarterback position. Northwestern has scrambler Dan Perza. He's a great quarterback, not enough recognition. By the end of the year, you will know his name, Dan Perza. Boston College, since Matt Ryan's left, they've not really had that star at quarterback, and they do have a talented running back, but I believe Northwestern wins 21-17. Next, Kent State at Alabama. It looks like I put 144-3 instead of 44-3, but it's Alabama versus Kent State. Gonna have some questions at quarterback, maybe a little bit of butterflies at the beginning for whoever takes the first snap at quarterback. But it's Alabama. They're gonna win 44-3. This next game, I decided to do it because it's really interesting. Appalachian State at Virginia Tech. Appalachian State's known for that win against Michigan in 2007. Appalachian State's a team that I always follow. I really am interested in their program. I like to follow what they do. I'm not really sure who the quarterback is, honestly, but it's going to be talented. One of the talented players in the FCS. One of the most talented programs in the FCS. And Virginia Tech last year started out slow, lost to James Madison in week 2, lost to Boise week 1. I actually think they're going to have some trouble with Appalachian State, but don't expect for Appalachian State to win. That was a once-in-a-lifetime thing against Michigan. So I do believe Virginia Tech wins 28-10 against Appalachian State. Next game, Minnesota at USC. Honestly, I hate USC. Hate them. But Minnesota, they have a converted wide receiver, Marquise Gray, playing quarterback. Minnesota's not been that great the last few years. They have a not too much depth at defense. USC is USC. No matter probation or not, they're going to have talented players. It's at USC. My dog's barking. Sorry about that if you hear that in the background, but I do believe USC beats Minnesota 21-7. The next game, Western Michigan at Michigan. First game for head coach Brady Hoke with his West Coast offense. I do believe Denard Robinson's going to struggle. Do believe he's going to be one of the most disappointing players this year because of the new West Coast offense. Have to play more pro style under Brady Hoke, but I do believe Michigan beats Western Michigan 35-7. They won't have any problems because they're Michigan. Western Michigan is Western Michigan, and I do believe Michigan rolls 35-7. Next game, Louisiana Monroe at Florida State. Florida State's being predicted to be one of the better teams in the country, led by quarterback E.J. Manuel. They will not have any problems against Louisiana Monroe, 42-7. Next game is another upset. And I'm predicting UCLA at Houston. Houston, six-year of eligibility quarterback Case Keenum didn't play last year, was hurt, but this year he's back. The second-string quarterback, I cannot remember his name, but he was really talented as well. UCLA's struggled under Rick Neuheisel since he's been there. If he has another bad year this year, he could be on the hot seat big time. And if they do indeed lose, like I think they're going to do, that's not good for Rick Neuheisel at all. And I predict, it's at Houston, I predict Houston to win 24-21 upset over UCLA. Case Keenum and his wide receivers, always a talented group in offense for Houston, and I believe they win 24-21. Next game, another interesting game, South Florida at Notre Dame. South Florida has B.J. Daniels at quarterback. Notre Dame is predicted they're getting some love this year. I think the highest I've seen them ranked in any polls is 6th, and I've seen them average around 17 or so. They're getting some love. Got some talented players like always. They're Notre Dame. Brian Kelly's second year. He's gonna do fine. Notre Dame's gonna roll. 27. It's kind of close. 27-17. I say. South Florida. They're going to have some trouble with Notre Dame's defense. Manti Te'o is going to rush. B.J. Daniels, hopefully he'll get... I'm pulling for South Florida because one of my friends, he plays linebacker for South Florida, Antoine Pozniak. I haven't talked to him in a while, but... Pulling for South Florida, but I believe Notre Dame wins 27-17. Next game, another upset. BYU at Ole Miss. BYU's talented players, Jake Heaps at quarterback. BYU independent this year, playing at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is known to struggle early on. Like last year, they played against Jacksonville State early. They lost. I mean, they're going to be a talented group this year. Nobody's really talking about them, and that's when Houston Nutt's teams really come at you. But I believe BYU upsets Ole Miss and wins 27-24. Next game, Fresno State at California. Not much to say about this game, but I believe California wins 31-10. Next game, Florida Atlantic at Florida. Will Muschamp's first game as head coach at Florida. Gonna have some, maybe a little bit of first game nerves for all the players and the coaches. But I don't believe Florida should have a problem. Charlie Weiss, offensive coordinator, gonna run a good offense set for John Brantley. The last few years for John Brantley, not really a spread guy, more of a pro-style guy. Kind of struggled last year, but I think he should be fine this year under Charlie Weiss. So I believe Florida does not have any problems, and they win 34-7. Next game, East Carolina versus South Carolina. Honestly, I believe South Carolina won't have a problem with East Carolina, but if they do, I believe it's because of Connor Shaw, who they just named starting quarterback over Steven Garcia. If he does fine, they will do fine. If he struggles, they will struggle. But I believe East Carolina's nothing to nobody look down on. They're a pretty good program. But I do believe South Carolina does okay, wins 37-13 over East Carolina. Next game is an interesting game. Elon at Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's going to win, but the more I look at Vanderbilt's program with Larry Smith at quarterback, he came from a school that I'm near called Prattville High School. He's a spread type of guy, really fast, more of an athlete than a quarterback. He's very, very inaccurate and he can be good at some spots, but he's very inconsistent. I really think Vanderbilt's going to struggle, but I do think they pull out the victory. It'll snap their 8-game losing streak, I believe. Vanderbilt on their first year head coach. I believe they win 28-17. Struggle a little bit, they'll win in the end. And here we go, the bigger games. Wait, I'm gonna do the lower two first. The worst two games on Saturday. This is at Saturday night. Tulsa at Oklahoma. Oklahoma will roll 44-10 because it is Oklahoma. They're ranked #1 in the preseason polls. Tulsa's nobody to look down on either, but Tulsa's always talented on offense, but they're playing Oklahoma. So 44-10 Oklahoma over Texas. I mean over Tulsa. And now we got Texas. Rice at Texas. Texas, they'll be fine. They struggled last year, but I believe they'll be a little bit better this year. Maybe 8 or 9 wins. This will be one of them. They'll roll over Rice 33-3. And I think it'll be their first game in the Longhorn Network, which is kind of crazy. I wish Alabama had one of those. But the bigger two games of the day, Oregon. The first one, Oregon versus LSU. LSU. All that controversy about Jordan Jefferson at the bar, I think it was a bar fight. He's been suspended for the game. Jarrett Lee, not the most talented player. LSU's big. LSU's always going to be talented, but they're big. And the loss to Jordan Jefferson at quarterback is not good in their favor. Oregon always fast. LaMichael James, the other guys at running back, talented running back core, one of the best in the country. Darren Thomas at quarterback. Always recruit the players that fit their system. I believe Oregon pulls the upset over LSU. Well, I don't guess it's really an upset, but it's an SEC school. So I say Oregon beats LSU 24-17. I believe if Jordan Jefferson would have played, they would have won. But Jarrett Lee, just no, he's not that great. Not your SEC quarterback. Nobody wants starting in the first game of the season opener against Oregon. I believe Oregon wins 24-17. Next game, Boise State versus Georgia. I believe Georgia will beat Boise State 17-13. I gotta hurry up and wrap this up before it goes over 15 minutes. But I believe Boise State will be all excited to play in the Georgia Dome at night. Everybody watching against the SEC school. Chris Peterson will have them ready, but I believe Georgia will have the upset. They're bigger, about as fast. I believe they win 17-13. They stop. I believe Kellen Moore and his offense struggles at first. They've lost some talented guys at the wide receiver position, Austin Pettis and Titus Young. I believe they will struggle, and I believe Georgia pulls the upset 17-13. Well, I hope they do anyway, because if they beat Boise State, they're done for the year. Not anybody talking about them. If they win, Boise State, blah, 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 they're going to win, blah. And they'll end up losing to somebody at the end of the year, and all that talk will be wasted. And we're talking about somebody else, but oh no, Boise State, they're so great. They beat China. So I believe Georgia beats Boise State 17-13 in an upset. I gotta hurry up. I got 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go through this quick. The Sunday game, West Virginia, Marshall at West Virginia. West Virginia under new head coach. Geno Smith will be a great quarterback this year. Somebody to look out for. West Virginia, talented squad as always. Marshall, West Virginia. West Virginia wins 37-10. And for the Monday game, I got a minute to talk about this. Miami at Maryland. Miami with all that controversy. Ja'Cory Harris not starting at quarterback. All those players, all this talk, they're not gonna be really focused. They're gonna be kind of distraction from everything going on. Maryland's gonna be ready. They're playing at Maryland, but I do believe somehow Miami, with all the distractions, still beats Maryland 21-18. I'm not sure the second string quarterback for Miami is, but he's gonna have to step up and able to win. But I believe that somehow Miami will be able to triumph over a Maryland team, which has kind of been kind of down the last few years. So I believe Miami beats Maryland 21-18. And that is it, guys. This is S3Tide, and I will see you in my next video. And thanks for watching. See ya.